Okay, so here's the map. Fantastic. This is sort of the open world section where you can kind of really sort of navigate the world. But as you get into some of these sort of areas, they become like more linear pathways to the objective and where it is you're intending to go. It looks quite small looking at the map like this, but it's quite a big area. Right. So each weapon has its own skill tree. So these are the skill trees for the axe. So you've got the ranged combat, which is basically chucking your axe, and the close combat. And each of these pretty much a new move that you can do, a new attack. So some examples you can see in the video there of the different attack types. That's one of my favourites there, just slamming the axe into the top of the head. So you got stuff like that you can do. Watch a couple more. So various sort of close combat swings and swipes of the axe. The ranged combat, so you've got variations of throwing the axe and how much damage it does, but you can, by upgrading it, you can do things. If you make a precision throw, you can hit like multiple enemies. It sort of bounces from one enemy to the next. You've got attacks where it can cause like the axe to explode on contact and things like that. So there's some cool ones there. And you've got the shield attacks. So again, just when you've not got your axe in play, or when you're using the L1 button, you can put more focus on doing attacks with the shield. Various different types of sweeps and slams and stuff like that. It's cool. And you've got rage combat, so this is specifically for when you're in rage mode. So by hitting different buttons and holding buttons and things like that, just different types of attacks. So there's quite a good variety of attack just within the skill trees. There are a blend of different attack types you can do. There's also a skill tree for the kid and his bow and arrow. So you basically, although the kid will fight on his own automatically, you can tell him when to use his bow on what particular enemy just by aiming at the enemy, clicking the square button, and he'll fire his arrows in towards that enemy. And you can use it to sort of, if for example there's an enemy that's quite fast and you're struggling to pin him down, you can get the enemy. You can get the lad to fire some arrows, which will stun the enemy, which then you can just follow up quickly with an attack. So there's quite a few of the skill tree here. He's got different magic types that he can fire. So he's got ice arrows and he's got shock arrows and stuff like that, which can cause explosions or stun enemies and stuff. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So the skill trees for the weapons are really cool, but where the game goes sort of a step further with the combat is the axe has runes, and these rune attacks, you can have 2 rune attacks. One is for the holding L1 and then pressing R2, and the other one's holding L1 and pressing R1. So they're the two attacks. And then you've got this, which is usually just a sort of stat boost that you can add as well as part of the grip. So these now you can select from multiple. So you can see I can only equip one in that slot. You see there's quite a few to choose from, and this is the R1 attack. So you can see from the video, these attacks are pretty cool. Okay, so that's one of the rune attacks you can do. The other rune attack, this This is the one I've got currently, but there are also other. So plenty of different attack types you can do there, and you can actually upgrade. And the reason I haven't upgraded any of these rune attacks yet is I'm waiting to get as many as I can to sort of decide on the one or two that I really like and I think are the most powerful. And then you can see on the right hand side of the screen, just under the video, you've got the option to actually upgrade those, and you can sort of, there's little add-ons to them in terms of damage, and you can do sort of follow-up attacks from them and stuff like that. So when you combine these rune attacks with the skills and the weapon attacks that you learn, the combat is so vast and so varied that you could probably get through a whole fight without using the same attack twice. But as a lot of games, I tend to sort of have my favourite attacks and do them repeatedly rather than learn new ones. But that's a bit of an overview of the attacks you can do. Armour is more for stats, so like strength increase. I tend to go, as you can see from the right hand side of the screen, I tend to go for weapons with high strength. Defense is kind of a secondary to strength for me. So if I got a new piece of equipment now which would knock my defense down by 10 but increase my strength by 10, then I'd go for it. Because especially playing on a normal difficulty level, the enemies aren't causing me that much trouble, so I'd rather just get my strength up and just finish them off sooner. But you can have runic damage, which the runic I've got quite a small amount of points in that. However, the runic is basically the rune damage from these runes that you add to the axe. So these will do a lot more damage if your runic is higher. So the runic increases both runic attack and elemental damage. So that's something that I should really keep in mind, because I do like to use the rune attacks quite often. You can add sockets to your elements. So my chest armour, I can add enchantment sockets to it, which again just increase stats and resistances and things like that. So yeah, really cool, man.